guys, my name is Isabella Greene. Today I would like to talk to you about shared consciousness. I've been receiving a lot of guidance on the subject and also becoming more and more aware, so having my own personal experiences. So I wanted to share these with you today. It really fascinates me how many worlds human beings live in, every person creating their own reality based on their conditioning, their beliefs, their upbringing, their education, what they know, what they've learned, what they've experienced. Every person creates their own reality based on who they are, and their reality influences who they are as well. So when you interact with people and talk to people, you will see that very few will have exactly the same world that they are living in, or are perceiving the world that they're living in the same exact way. It literally is that we have nearly 7 billion different worlds on this planet. But then, simultaneously, humanity shares consciousness. We'll look at the ETs and we say, oh, how wonderful. They come from this space of unconditional love and shared consciousness. How beautiful. Yes, one thing the humans do not realize is that humanity shares consciousness as well. Every single person with all of their different worlds is contributing to the shared field. The field that's not only shared within the consciousness of human race, but also the planet itself. Human beings have been raised to believe and trained and conditioned to believe that we're separate. We are separate. This is my piece of land, this is my world, this is my reality, and no, the neighbor, I don't really like them. But the teachers, the great teachers say, love thy neighbor. What does that really mean? I actually recently just realized what that means, and so I'm going to share my realization here with you. It doesn't matter if we hide in the middle of nowhere, if we put pyramids of ourselves, if we put protective gear on ourselves, it doesn't matter, because we all feed into the same field that we're all sharing. All of the shielding and protection devices block you for a while, but you can sit under your pyramid for the rest of your life. You come out into the world, or you walk into the room where it isn't there, and instantly we're sharing field with the rest. So in my experience, in my opinion, all of the shielding techniques and the mechanisms of shielding and the devices of shielding really pull us deeper into the space of separation. And for the human race, it is just not possible. So how does this play out? Those of us who are empaths really know how it plays out. That you come out into the store, for example, all of a sudden you can feel every person around you, right? Those of us who are more plugged in can feel every person around them without leaving their house. And why is that? Is that because this person has the special abilities? Or is that because that person evolved past their filters and are actually really seeing what goes on this planet? I used to think that it was because the person developed their abilities. Now, the understanding is coming in, and that understanding is that person just simply evolved past their filters. Everyone is sharing consciousness here. Everyone is sharing field. This is why it's so important to mind what you are bringing to that field. This is why we talk about the grid of love that the light workers are holding around this planet, the channels of love that we're creating when we're making love from the place of heart space, when we are contributing that state of being, of unconditional love and acceptance into the mass consciousness, and it influences others. Yes, correct, but it's not a one-way street. We are constantly being influenced by what goes on around us as well. I'm going to give you a few simple personal examples just to support my case here. I recently moved to the area, to the rural area, where my house is really standing on its own on the top of the hill. There are two houses, probably about quarter mile to the left and quarter mile to the right, and I can see these houses, but these houses are empty. No one is living in these houses. These houses are for sale and there's no one living there. Across the street there is a couple, an elderly couple, and it's obvious that the man is a former military, and so they're an older couple and they live across the street, and I've never talked to them ever. Other than that, I am surrounded by an open space. When I moved here, I started dreaming about local bars that I've never been to, never even seen them. But I would dream about myself driving my pickup truck into a bar, and then later me, this human being here, as I'm driving down the road, I would see that bar and be like, whoa, I just dreamt about this place. And I started dreaming about things that I never thought about. I started experiencing that I'm liking the pickup trucks all of a sudden. Meanwhile, every neighbor around, this whole neighborhood is all about pickup trucks. So all of a sudden I'm dreaming that I'm liking pickup trucks, so I'm driving them. Okay, so, and this goes on, and all of a sudden I start craving foods that I don't like and don't eat. Like stuff that's barbecued, and there are no neighbors around me barbecuing me or barbecuing around me anywhere. So that got me thinking, what am I picking up? I'm here in this neighborhood. All of a sudden, my dreams are influenced by what my neighbors are doing. And I've never ever physically interacted with these neighbors before. Another example, I lived in the chapel area before, surrounded by the places of worship, Christian worship. There were 4 different temples of Christian worship around the house. When I moved there, I started thinking about going to church. I started thinking about participating in the ceremonies with other people, especially around the holidays. The stuff that was going on around the holidays was really incredible because I don't drink alcohol, I don't barbecue, I don't eat hot dogs. None of that is a part of my reality, hasn't been for many years. But around the holidays, Labor Day, Christmas, I don't know, whenever people do that stuff, I would start craving conventional cake, barbecued stuff. And it's not like I'm sitting here and my neighbor's barbecuing next door and I can smell it. No, but I am picking that right from the energy field. I can smell in my psychic, through my psychic abilities, not smell, but somehow I'm craving that. Why? Because the people all around me, all across the nation, are barbecuing on Labor Day, for example, right? Or on Independence Day, they're all drinking too, and all of a sudden, I haven't had a drink in years, and all of a sudden I'm sitting there going, I kind of want a beer. What? Where'd that come from? So I've collected those examples going through my life just recently as I started receiving the guidance in my meditations And the guidance that was coming in my meditations was literally repeating the same thing over and over. You are part of human collective. Human collective shares consciousness. And there is no way of hiding from it, or shielding from it, or moving away from it physically like I thought I did. I was like, oh, I just moved to the middle of nowhere. There are like 2 neighbors across the street and that's it. No, doesn't work. You can't go all plugged into the shared consciousness of humanity. The difference here is that that consciousness is unharmonized. I remember when I decided to incarnate into planet Earth, and I was on my famous red planet I always talk about, and I remember that feeling. The feeling of being in the shared consciousness of extraterrestrial race that is also sharing consciousness with their planet, and I was a part of that consciousness. I remember that feeling. It was a very different feeling because everyone was harmonized. Everyone was focused on one goal, in one direction of well-being of everyone in that race, including their habitat, including their planet. Well, here on Earth we have a very different story going on, and perhaps that is because the 3D filters are so thick that we experience ourselves as separate units. We live an illusion of being separate units. Individual human physical reality with an individual human physical form. And no, my neighbor is not me, it's someone else. Yes, physically they have a different body. You have your own cloud of consciousness, things that you do, you think about. But you're still receiving, you're still interacting, you're still contributing to the overall, that whole cloud of consciousness, let's just call it that way. So I was kind of humoring myself thinking, I wonder if my ex-military neighbor across the street is thinking about doing advanced yogic meditations. Thinking it's a nightmare that came out of nowhere since I moved to this neighborhood. What this brings the whole thing down to is we really cannot shield from each other. And also the realization that we're one consciousness, that humanity is one consciousness, is really the end to all wars. And let's take a look at unconditional love here, right? Well, let's take a look once again at what it means to love thy neighbor. And I'm not talking about love thy neighbor but don't get caught, that kind of thing. I'm talking about what Jesus was talking about. I'm talking about what all of the ascended masters were saying, what they say, love thy neighbor as thyself. What does that mean? What is unconditional love to begin with? What do ETs do? The benevolent ETs that are supporting the human race. They created the space of non-interference. They created a space from which they're observing us in full acceptance, making all of our mistakes and all the craziness, right? But they're not bombing us, or they're not coming in to slap us on the face saying, what the hell are you thinking? What are you doing? What's wrong with you? Yeah, they're observing us from the place of unconditional love. What is the universe doing? What is the source energy doing from the place of unconditional love? It creates experiences, and experiences take their own shape, form, and flow, and there's non-interference from anywhere. It's human consciousness that creates ideas that we have to correct the other. We have to turn them or convince them or convert them into our system of beliefs. We have to teach them how to be better, how to change, all of that. That's a human reality. That's a human mind trying to pull the other back into that unified field of consciousness that already exists. So, oh my God, so what do we do now, right? What do we do now? Well, here's the other part, the second part of the guidance that came in. And it was this. Contribute to the energy field the best you can from the highest possible frequency, highest possible vibration. So you work on yourself. You work on raising your frequency. So your neighbor would dream about doing advanced meditations, not you and you'd be dreaming about going to a bar. Well, fine. So when you wake up, you influence that reality around you by your presence, by your choices, by your higher frequency. So you basically contributed to that field from the place of unconditional love. You're not going to go across the street and say, hey, you know what, I'm dreaming about your military service here. Or I'm dreaming about, I don't know, you going to a bar that's like annoying me and it's not me. And, you know, put a big fence and a big pyramid over. We can do that. I mean, it's temporary. We can do that for a moment and go back into separation, close away from the energy field, but it's not possible. So what's possible? What's possible is teaching ourselves. And I think this is the biggest task for all empaths who are complaining that, oh, I can feel everybody in the room. Yes, you can, because you've evolved past your filters. And everyone else should be able to feel everyone else in the room. And that way, we would be able to be more coherent with each other, contributing love thy neighbor as thyself. Take care of yourself. Your neighbor takes care of themselves. You meet in that shared consciousness and you are in balance. So, well, that's an ideal scenario, but what do we do right now when you're plugged into mass consciousness, like it or not? When you're dreaming about elections and you've never thought about elections 1 day, 1 second in your life. Why am I dreaming about elections? Well, yeah, it's everywhere. That's what people are thinking. That's what people are contributing into the energy field. And when you're sleeping, when you're out there, when the filters are down, you're observing that. So you wake up, but you have your own opinion. Remember who you are within your energy field. Allow this, here's the main part, allow this knowledge to float through you like a river without grabbing onto, without being influenced by that too much. Recognizing, well, yeah, I'm probably dreaming what my neighbors are dreaming. I'm definitely picking up something that's going on in this neighborhood, pickup trucks, yeah. You know, do I still like them? Like you check back with your own self, with your own consciousness. Is that my thinking? Is this really my reality going to that redneck bar? No, I don't think so, you know, but I recognize that I picked that up from the shared energy field. Being conscious of what we contribute, working on our own selves, and also accepting that people have their individual separate worlds. And these worlds do not have to influence you. Unconditional love is unconditional acceptance, meaning everybody wants to be loved where they can be themselves. Right? What's love? Oh, you want to be received as who you are. You want to be received within your own space, without being told what to do, what to think, what to dream about, where to go, what to eat. You want to be allowed to be yourself. So you do this for your own self, and you do this with that same stream of consciousness that you're sharing. So if you walk into the room and you become aware of every person's state of being in the room, you recognize that, yes, I'm sharing field with the people. Yes, I can't hide. That's a part of a reality on this planet. Let alone the planet itself is sharing that field with us too. That's why everything is influenced within nature by human beings. Human beings are influenced by nature. It's all a part of one mechanism, and we're moving into space where we finally can see that. So you remember who you are within that consciousness. You remember you're the light worker. You remember you're here to contribute love, the unconditional love. Receive your neighbor without trying to judge, without judging them, without trying to change them, recognizing that everyone has a right for their free will and their choice, but not receiving that into yourself, not identifying with it too much or at all, depending on what's going on. And also mainly not going into fear. When we start contracting and running into in fear, go, oh my God, I can feel every person in the room, I can stand this. Oh, they're taking my energy. They're not taking your energy. They are projecting, they are producing the negative or low frequency energy field. And when it influences you, you spend enough time within it, you can feel it too, that's all. So your job is to constantly work on keeping your frequency high. Your job is to constantly work on keeping your frequency high so that you can be a part of the shared consciousness of this world, of this planet, of your neighborhood, that contributes that space of unconditional love, non-judgment, acceptance, and high frequency. That's it. Be like a river. Allow things to flow into your consciousness. Observe, oh, this is not me. That's not my preferences. These are not my choices. They're not even my dreams. I don't worship at those temples. I'm just in this neighborhood, so I'm seeing this, and that's fine. Let it just flow right through you and right out, and remember who you are. That's it. We are sharing consciousness, and there is no hiding from it. Alright guys, thank you for tuning in today. This is all I wanted to share with you. If you'd like to have a session with me, you can reach me at isabellagreene.com. Please remember that I'm booked a few months in advance, so have patience, but I will get back to you after you send me a session request form. I love you. Take care now. Namaste.